Hi, and welcome to the Skincarma Pod. I'm Carmine, the creator and voice of the Skincarma blog. With more than 25 years in beauty as a brand builder, copywriter, and skincare junkie, I'm putting my product wisdom and expertise to work demystifying skincare. If you listen to my recent episode with Dahlia Devkota, founder of Editrix, you probably felt the same thing I did. That rare, easy rapport that happens when two people speak the same language and aren't afraid to question the industry they love. At the end of the recording, Dahlia, who spent years as a beauty editor at Allure before founding Editrix, suggested we flip the script and do a follow-up episode where she interviews me. So that's what we're doing today. We're continuing our conversation from the other side of the mic. I'm not entirely sure what we'll talk about, but that's the fun part. Our conversation will really just go where it goes. There was only one rule. There are no rules. Dahlia is welcome to ask me anything. And if you know me, you know I speak the truth when it comes to the beauty industry. I hope you enjoy it as much as I think I will. So let's go. Let's talk to Dahlia. Hi, Dahlia.
Hi, Carmine. It's actually, let's talk to Carmine.
Yes. Okay. I'm all yours.
Well, thank you for letting me be so bossy and take over your podcast. I was sort of joking, but I'm so happy you went for it.
Oh, I totally I was like, yeah. And I think I texted you this morning that this was the easiest prep I've had to do for a podcast. I think I need someone else to take over the podcast.
Well, full disclosure, I did no prep. So wing it. I mean, I know, your brief bio, but I want to use this time to get to know you better.
Okay. Cool. I love it.
Always the interviewer, not the interviewee. So let's dig into Carmine. Carmine, how does a boy from, where are you from?
Connecticut.
How does a boy from Connecticut get into beauty?
You like how I said it?
I would thought Connecticut, actually.
Like you're gonna force me to say it? Well, so growing up, I'm Gen X. So growing up, I knew nothing about skincare, beauty, any of it. To me, beauty was what women did. I shaved, and I actually joked a few days ago with a gentleman who is a writer as well, and he writes articles in Men's Health magazine about men and men's skincare and men's lifestyle and all that stuff. And we were joking about how we both hate the word grooming. Like the beauty industry uses the word grooming.
Dogs. That's what dogs.
Yeah. So when men talk about skincare, we talk about skincare. We're supposed to frame it in terms of grooming, which is complete nonsense. And so, but that was like all I ever did was shave and use Stridic pads on my acneic skin, which of course, as you know, only disrupted my microbiome. Micro what? Like that wasn't even a word. Was that even a word in the English language?
No, it wasn't. It was not even a field. It's a very new field.
Yeah.
Actually.
Yeah.
And so anyway, I'm not speaking, you are.
Yeah. So after college, I moved to LA. And what's that? Where'd I go?
What did you study in college?
Oh, I studied English. And I wasn't an English major until second semester junior year. I was a French major until through first semester junior year. And then I realized I had this epiphany at some point that first semester, like, what am I going to do with a French major? This is so stupid and crazy. And I think I fantasized about being a French major, like being a language major, and English was like, who wants to major in English? Like I studied Latin and all, as you know. And so I went to college and ended up majoring in English, and I had to do like crash courses in English. Like every single course for the last year and a half was an English course in order for me to put together a degree in a major.
Did you know what you wanted to do, or you just had to like find something to major in?
Wait, what was it?
Did you want to be a writer at the time? Like, what were you thinking you were going to do with the English degree?
I mean, you probably completely agree. I was always a writer. I was
Yes.
a writer from when I was a kid. So
Yeah.
is it that I'm going to make a career out of being a writer? I don't know that I thought that that was possible. I think, thinking back, I thought I would be an English teacher. Like
Okay.
that's how you made a career, like with an English major, you
Right.
taught English. Um, and so fast forward, I moved to LA. I had a job like right after college at a department store in Connecticut called G Fox. And I was the assistant manager of housewares, and all I did was like stack. I remember I don't know why I remember working nights. Maybe because yeah, that's why. I was working as a bank teller in the day. And then at night, in the evening, I would go to the mall and work as the assistant manager of housewares. And there were never any customers. And so all I ever did was stack and, neaten the cutlery sets. For some reason, that was my forte. And the manager was always like, he would like leave me notes like, oh my God, you're amazing. It was amazing. I can't believe how good everything looked. And so I did that for about a year. I don't even think it was a year. I think I was back in Connecticut for 10 months. And then I followed my college roommate to LA. And that's where the beauty thing happened. I transferred my job from the department store here to a sister store there. And I
So
was
G-Fox in LA?
no, it was May Company.
Oh yeah, yeah.
The May Company at that department store that is now the Motion Picture Academy Museum at the corner of
Yes,
Wilshire and Fairfax.
exactly.
That was this flagship May Company store.
Wow.
And I lived east of the La Brea tar pits, and I would walk to work past the La Brea tar pits, holding my breath because it smelled like sulfur. And then I would get to work at that store at the corner. And the first day I go in, I go to HR and I'm like, hey, I'm here, I made it. And they had this job for me to be the assistant manager of housewares. I was just transferring jobs. And she said, look, I have your job. I don't want you to sweat it. You're going to be the assistant manager of housewares. But we need a favor. We just finished Mother's Day, and the department manager is new, and we're going into Father's Day. And would you mind being her assistant temporarily, just for the next couple of weeks? And I'm thinking, you have got to be kidding me. I don't know anything about beauty, cosmetics. Like, it wasn't even skincare, it was like cosmetics. Like, I feel like that word is like an old word. I never use it. I never
Yeah.
want anybody to use it in my presence. It reminds me of those days. Yeah. And so I'm like, okay, I don't like even wash my face, but fine. And literally, no joke, Dahlia, 2 days later, I went up to her and I asked her if I could stay. It was
So
like,
what was the hook for you?
it was so dynamic. I wasn't like stacking cutlery sets by myself. It was really busy.
Cutlery.
Right. It was busy and it was exciting. And I think what I loved most, I mean, my my take on it was correct. It really was women. Like, there were a couple of guys on the men's fragrance bar, but every other bay was run by a woman. And these were all really, really, really smart entrepreneurial women who had been behind these counters for decades. Like, the woman behind the Elizabeth Arden counter had been there for like 40 years.
So
And
remember some of the brands that were there, and are they still around today? So Elizabeth
oh
Arden.
God. So I
I'm
mean,
sure there's.
Elizabeth Arden, yes, right?
Mhm.
Um, we had Revlon in a counter, like
Oh, wow.
Revlon, like that's not a department store brand anymore. That's mass. We
Yeah.
had Ultima 2. Do you remember Ultima 2?
Mhm.
Yeah, we had Ultima 2, and her name was Sol. She was a Philippine woman, and she had been there forever. We had a brand called Germaine Monte.
Do not know what that.
I mean, and that was like on the main aisle. That was like that. It was Elizabeth Arden, Germaine Monte, Ultima 2. I think those were the top three brands. And Germaine Montet was run. The counter manager was an Israeli woman. The counter manager on Elizabeth Arden was a German woman, and they were all either at retirement age or north of retirement age, but they were so successful doing what they were doing.
You, right? Probably
Yeah, I'm
22, 23.
22. I'm 22, and they know I know nothing. Like I didn't like it was like, who is this kid? And they all took me under their wings, and I would spend all day, hours at a time in each of these bays, and they would teach me everything they knew about skincare. Yeah.
Amazing.
So that's how it happened. That's how it started. And, all of a sudden I had a skincare routine. Like they were like, you have to have a skincare routine. And they all were like, my products are the best products. I know she's going to say Elizabeth Arden's the best.
What was your first sort of luxury brand? Luxury
Dior.
brand. Okay.
Dior. And I remember there was a cleanser and a toner, and it wasn't even necessarily right for my skin at that point. I think I remember this was like a year after. That's, a year after that. I'm using these products and I'm thinking, this is too rich. I think this is too rich. And there was a woman behind Dior who was French, and she was super aggressive. And I think it was like employee discount days or something. And she sold me a routine. And so it was like my first real skincare routine was Dior. Yeah.
Amazing. Okay, so after the department store gig, how long were you there? I'm going to walk through your journey here.
So I was on that floor as the assistant manager of cosmetics for 1 year, and the merchandise manager from the buying office kind of also took me under her wing, and she promoted me. She took me out of that store and promoted me to my own store. And that was in the Valley. So then I moved to the Valley from, mid Wilshire, and I was there for about a year and a half. It was a brand new store. And then I got promoted again to the store where the buying offices were. Like this was like the main store at May Company Corporate, and the buying offices were upstairs. So now I'm in the most high visibility store. And I was there for probably another 2 years. And then I started to get hungry. Like this is May Company, like back in the May Company days. And Estee Lauder, the woman, Estee Lauder, had held a long-standing grudge against May Corporation because they laughed in her face when she came to them with her youth due. And they were like, you're a nobody. Like we're it in the beauty world. You're nobody. And she vowed that May Company would never have the big three. They would never have her brands, which was Clinique and Estee Lauder. And because they didn't have Clinique and Estee Lauder, they didn't have Lancome. And so I always knew them as the big three. And I was like, what am I doing here? Like with Revlon, and like these brands are so passé. And I need to have these other brands that are it in beauty. And so I interviewed for a job at another competitive store. It was a much higher level called Bullock's, and it was in Century City. Yeah, right.
Yeah, because it was around the country. It was wasn't just here in California.
Yeah. It was Southwest, and so I jumped ship. And I went to Bullock Century City, and I had the big three all of a sudden. I had Lancome, Lauder, Clinique, all of it. And then that's when things got serious. Like then I was in like was hardcore beauty, and then I was running a business that was notable and high visibility. And I remember I was the only door in the entire United States where Lancome was twice the business of Estee Lauder. Like there were doors where Lancome was a little bit bigger, but not twice as big. Right. And Leonard Lauder, we had a Leonard Lauder visit, and he pulled me aside and he said, Carmine, I need help here. How is it possible that Lancome is twice the size of Estee Lauder? And I said, do you want the truth? And he said, yes. And I said, it's just not my customer. Like the Lauder customer is much older, and Lancome is hipper, and they have much more energy. and the lauder counter doesn't feel energetic.
Interesting.
And he probably, I don't even remember, I'm sure that came down on his team, his field team, but that was the truth.
They make changes based on that?
I don't know if they did or not. I wasn't even there much longer. I got promoted again to the buying offices in San Francisco, and I was the assistant buyer of men's fragrances for Bullock's and Macy's. So that was very soon after that.
Did you ever read the Lauder book, the Leonard Lauder book?
No, am I in it?
I didn't get all the way through, but it's definitely worth. I listened to it actually I was driving somewhere. It is fascinating. The origin story of Estee Lauder is very fascinating. It's a lot of faith to make it.
Yeah, completely.
Name to sound French, like running around with this youth dew. It is such a fascinating origin story.
Spraying youth dew on the carpet at Saks, like all of that. Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. But then that whole French thing cracks me up. I have a close friend, and actually he's going to listen to this because he's the one who listens to every one of my podcast episodes. And we joke he's in Paris, and we joke all the time about these brands that do fake French, like Crème de la Mer. There's nothing French about that brand at all. Or any new brands that call themselves a French word and pretend that they're French.
Well, I'm guilty of calling my second cleanse deuxième.
That's true.
But it is the second step in my line.
It is, but you also have, look, it's right here next to me. Superare.
I hope I'm not flashing where my button is not cooperating, so just let me know. Okay, so Carmine, so you were doing fabulous at the Bullocks, and you're doing fragrance. And I just want to know, like, how did you get into like behind the scenes, like start, sort of the creativity of product development?
So I actually hated living in San Francisco. I not only hated that job, like that job is just like a minion job. All you do is track orders that are lost, and the launch is the following day, and the order hasn't shown up. I hated that. I didn't like San Francisco. It was so foggy and cold, and look, here I am in miserable New York. And and I was actually I was in good, really, with the buying team, and the people at Bullock's, and everybody knew that I wasn't happy, and so they moved me back, and I was back. I was in a department store in the Valley as the cosmetics manager again during the Northridge earthquake.
Oh,
and
wow.
And the store was destroyed. And I mean destroyed. I mean, that store was...
That was like 80 something?
94. Yeah. And so all of a sudden now I'm without a job. And they had those of us who were in stores that were damaged, they had us floating around helping other cosmetics managers. And it was in that exact period, I was there for maybe 6 weeks. They started, Barney's New York was opening in Beverly Hills, and they started interviewing for management. And a friend of mine from Bullock's in Century City had been hired to manage one of the men's departments, and he was like, you have to interview for this cosmetics position. And I did, and I got the job on the spot. And I resigned, and it was a big to-do. And so now I'm the cosmetics manager at Barney's. And, back to that lonely experience at G Fox, like when you're the cosmetics manager at Barney's, like you do nothing. Like really? There was nothing to do. Like the sales were huge. Usually a Barney sale is much bigger, or you have some celebrity come in or a stylist come in and they spend $1,000 on product and you've made your day. And I had a huge staff.
Right.
There just wasn't a lot of traffic. It's Beverly Hills. And I was kind of bored out of my mind, but I had, that's where I was introduced to Kiehl's. I had heard of Kiehl's. I had no experience with Kiehl's whatsoever. And at that time, L'Oreal hadn't purchased Kiehl's yet. Kiehl's was still independent. And on my opening day, Aaron Morse and his daughter Jamie had come in and, to greet customers. And so I met Jamie and Mr. Morse, and Kiehl's was my number one brand. And it wasn't that long after that a friend of mine moved to New York to work for Kiehl's in the corporate offices as their head of sales. And we found out that a copywriter position was opening up, and I moved to New York to work in-house at Kiehl's as their first ever copywriter.
That's
And
incredible.
so, yeah,
So fun. That sounds like a really fun job.
it was my favorite job in the corporate world. That was my favorite job, especially the early days, soon after the acquisition, before it became very corporatized and process driven. We didn't even have titles. We didn't have titles on our business cards. It was just like, I'm Carmine, I work at Kiehl's. That's all.
I feel like also back then, I don't know, the industry was obviously it was always complex, but it was more simple. And there weren't as many brands. It was very different.
Yeah, it was quaint.
Yes, it was actually.
Yeah, it really was. It was.
And how long were you there at Kiehl's?
7.5 years.
Wow. Okay, so 7.5 years at Kiehl's. Tell me what are some iconic products that you are behind?
Facial Fuel. That's my baby.
Yeah.
I named every product for 7.5 years. So there's a lot of products that. What's that?
Were you involved in formulation or just within Kiehl's or just the copywriting?
Well, remember, we didn't have titles on our business cards, so everybody was involved in everything.
Yeah.
Funny, I didn't let nobody was allowed to be involved in copywriting, but I was involved in product development. We had product development like people and we were all very close. We were all like a very small team. Like in the beginning, we were no more than 25 people. And it grew over time, obviously. But so I was exposed to product development that way. And we did brainstorming meetings. I reported into the head of marketing. The head of creative reported into the head of marketing. The head of product development reported into the head of marketing. And we used to have brainstorming meetings and, come up with ideas for products. Like we were all involved in that. And then, I was also the one writing the product concepts.
Yeah.
Like the product development people, the marketing people didn't write product concepts. I wrote the product concepts. They briefed me and I wrote the concept.
Right. And so Kiehl's then and Kiehl's today, totally, is it even the same thing?
No. And actually, those of us who I'm still close to a lot of people that I worked with at Kiehl's, and we'll like screenshot horrifying things and send it to each other. And it's not, they did a campaign like a year and a half ago that I'm still scarred by, where they showed pubic hair. It was, in a sub franchise about, intimate, products for down there. I don't even know how it was framed.
So confused. What?
Yes, it was so disturbing. It was so disturbing. And it was like, no, like we would have been laughed out of the building if we came up with that. It was like grasping at straws, and I feel like it had happened before that, like started to turn and started to alienate their core customers. And they were like one of the first brands of their size that moved away so clearly from Gen X and millennials to Gen Z. They pivoted, and everything they do is targeted at Gen Z now. Like, forget everybody else. Those aren't our people anymore. Which is weird to me. Like, what? We were a democratic brand. We always prided ourselves on that. We were for everybody. Yeah. And we had products for everybody. And the lip balm was $7 forever. Like, you could afford this Kiehl's lip balm.
But what about, so clearly the marketing took, an opposite turn. What about the ingredients? Are the formulas completely different? Because I know it happens so often when brands get acquired, especially by larger corporations. Do you think the quality is there?
I think there's still products of quality, Every formula was reformulated, every
Yeah.
single one. Like you can't be inside of L'Oreal and just be making stuff how you want to make it. Like everything's regulated and ingredients are approved. So every formula was reformulated over that period. Um, and
It's
so
also
I
mass. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I think that there's still efficacy for sure. And there's still, you know, good enough storytelling. I think they probably did a better job of storytelling in the earlier years than the last few years. Um, but I also don't really believe in the products. Like I'm very particular about the skincare I use and the skincare that I get behind.
Yeah.
And I think while L'Oreal has a cachet for being premium and being the best of the best, I don't think their formulas are necessarily all that good. They use a lot of alcohol. There's still fragrance in their products. Like it's like, you
Well,
know,
I think what happens, in my opinion, when a brand goes so mass, you
mm,
are trying to please everybody, right? And
yeah.
that then you just water everything down. I feel like you lose your point of view if you're just somewhere in the middle. It has to smell good. It has to do this. It can't irritate too much. It can't. So it's just like you sort of get this very flaccid product. I feel like
Well,
with
I think there's a really good textbook example of that, and it's another L'Oreal brand. It's CeraVe. And CeraVe has this position of being derm recommended and the best product on the market for sensitive skin.
Carmine.
And
You're gonna get me to go off on a tangent, and I'm gonna rant. So can't even comment
well,
on this.
go for it because we're having a conversation. But they come out with a vitamin C serum that is very clearly off the shelf at the L'Oreal labs.
Yeah,
It's not a CeraVe created vitamin C serum, and it's got like the third ingredient or second ingredient is denatured alcohol.
I know.
You
It's
can't put that on your skin if you're sensitive. I don't understand that.
So I had a mother call me once or email me, and she said, I don't know what to do. My baby's getting like dermatitis all over his face. And she sent me pictures, all these bumps. And I said, and she's like, can I use your products? You can use the products. But I said, tell me what you're doing right now for me. And she's like, oh, well, the doctor said the CeraVe, like gentle wash. And I was
Mm.
like, eliminate that immediately because the pH is so high.
Yeah.
You're stripping your poor baby's skin. It's trying to heal, and every time you're doing it, you're stripping it. I don't understand why this brand. Anyway, so the moment she eliminated it, it healed. She didn't even need to do anything.
Yeah.
Just elimination is the cure.
Yeah, because the thrust of a brand like that and so many of those big brands is marketing.
Yeah,
It's just marketing dollars. It's not necessarily, skin health, skin barrier health. Every product is tested for sensitivity. It
yeah.
doesn't mean that it's made for sensitive skin.
And I would say that, no offense against physicians, because I have many in my family, it's that I don't think doctors are trained to read ingredients. So
No.
I
Yeah.
really understand sometimes when they're recommending something, yeah, it might have some key actives that are good, but they're not looking at the entire ingredient profile to see what is disruptive in that also.
Totally. But there's a brand called Untoxicated. I don't know if you know the brand.
Awesome. I love that name.
It's yeah, right? It's such a great name. And it's founded one of the founders and both the co-founders have been on the podcast. Um Dr. Martin, I can't remember his last name now. This is safe, there's no prep involved. He's an allergist
Okay.
and he created these formulas free of anything that could possibly cause an allergy or be classified as an allergen,
Right.
and the products are amazing, and it's kind of positioned as a modern, ultra modern CeraVe.
Right.
Like
That's pretty
even their moisturizer is in almost the same packaging as that moisture cream of CeraVe's in that big tub.
cool.
Yeah, and I love that brand. As a matter of fact, I use that moisturizer at night because I need something really that locks in the whatever moisture I have left in my skin. And I love that product, especially on my neck. It's amazing. Untoxicated. They're really doing it right.
Very
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
What do you think the future of beauty looks like right now? From where, because you probably see everything that's coming out on the market before it even hits the market.
I know this is going to sound a little bit crazy, but I feel like, and there are brands that have dabbled in this, but it was always fake. Like I really think that there's going to be hyper personalization that doesn't exist today.
Like
And
what's like AI generated
yeah,
personalization?
yeah, and that was something, 3-4 years ago that was going on, but it was fake. It was just it was just an algorithm, right? Like we're
Or
gonna
it's like you fill out a questionnaire. It's like if you fall into this category,
yes.
it's like it's not really personalized.
And
It's
here's
just
your product, and it's got your name on it. This is your formula, implied that nobody else, this isn't one of those. I just picked up a product. Nobody else has this same product because it was made for you. When in fact they probably only have 6, maybe, and everybody who takes their quiz and goes through the algorithm, lands on one of those, and they put your name on the product and send it to you. And all of those brands, thank God, are gone. But I think there's going to be there's a couple of things. I think AI is changing so much so fast, but there's going to be a hyper personalization, whether a product is made specifically for you and literally made for you, and if someone else has the same product, it's by chance. And I think in formula development too, I feel like I hear that a lot, but I haven't seen any evidence of it yet. Like, has AI really created ingredients or figured out ingredients that should go together better? Like, and is that even something AI is going to perfect? Like,
yeah,
we have products, your products, thank you very much, are really well done. Like, do you need AI to make really great products? You just need smart people.
yeah. So okay, so personalization. What about ingredients? Are you see any like new? Because what I find right now is in beauty that a lot of products are coming out, but it's just the same ingredients sort of mixed in a different way or
Yeah.
different concentrations. Like, what is really exciting as far as new ingredients, if you know of any? Like,
You
I know
know,
there's
I
Tide crazies and
I love the whole growth factor thing. I think if there's ways to infuse growth factors into a formula that then can be delivered to the skin and actually have a benefit for the skin, like, you know a lot of it is impeded by your skin barrier itself, which is designed to keep things out. And I talk a lot about the 500 Dalton rule, and look, there's simple physics. You can't get a molecule this big through your skin barrier. It doesn't happen.
collagen topically on your skin. It's
Oh
like just
yeah, like come on. I
collagen.
feel like, is that over? I feel like that's over. Like nobody's dumb enough now to come out with a collagen cream that's made with collagen.
Actually, just saw
A new one?
a beauty collagen mask, and I actually just bought it just because I want to see what are they even, because I really do believe in a lot of K beauties. I'm like, what are they possibly doing that's collagen in a topical mask? Yeah. Anyway, I buy so many brands just to see like
Yeah.
what is happening here.
It's just a word.
Yeah.
They throw the word collagen on a package and the consumer thinks, "Oh, it's going to boost my collagen." There was
Yeah.
actually, and I called this out, it was about a year ago, a friend of mine, she everywhere she travels, like if she sees a product, she very often will buy it and send it to me, which I appreciate. And I can't remember where she was, and she was in like a Walgreens, and Walgreens had just come out with their own private label products. And she bought me all the products. Like, she knows I want to try everything, and I want to know everything. And I was like, I didn't even know Walgreens had skincare. Like, what? And so she bought me all these serums. One was a niacinamide serum, one was a hyaluronic acid serum, and one was a collagen serum. And I get this product, and I'm like, okay, I get, if you're going to call it a collagen serum, that it's going to stimulate collagen, right? So how's it doing? Is there vitamin C in there? Are there signaling peptides in there? There was none of that. It was literally a base with some collagen in it. And I'm like, what? This is crazy.
So what do you think you're getting? That's why there is something behind you get what you pay for. I
Yeah.
mean, it's some things are exorbitantly overpriced, but it is not cheap to formulate at a very high level and use very good quality ingredients that work. So yeah, I
So
wouldn't. advise getting your skincare at the drugstore.
No.
Unless you can find, great pharmacies.
Intoxicated, you can get intoxicated. So I love the growth factor technology. I think that's cool. I think there's possibility there.
Carmine, the thing with the growth factors is the preservation system,
Right. Yeah.
stability. These things have to be refrigerated. You have to use them immediately. So I'm very interested in that too. Like, how do we stabilize something that you can actually use it?
Well, hopefully AI can help them figure that out.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, I'm doing a series on my blog currently on the ingredient trends of the year as we
Yeah.
close out the year.
Can you give us a sneak peek?
Yeah, well, I published an article about a week and a half ago about ectoin. I think that's a super fascinating ingredient, and
What is that?
it's a humectant,
Okay.
and it's a humectant on par with hyaluronic acid. But what I love about it is that it has a long-term benefit, whereas hyaluronic acid doesn't. Again, back to the 500 Dalton rule, doesn't penetrate the skin barrier very far. It stays in the very surface and draws water to the surface, which you don't want. You don't want that. That it's not drawing water from the air in the winter. There's no water in the air. We're all drying out. I'm drying out talking. So it draws water to the surface, and then the air sucks the water out of your skin because now it's at the surface. But ectoin works more efficiently than hyaluronic acid because it's a much smaller molecule. I think it's 147 Daltons. It's something like that, or 157, way below 500, and it penetrates more deeply. And ectoin wraps around. It creates the shield around cells, and that's how it performs as a humectant to lock water deeper in the skin. So it has a longer term benefit. So I just published that article on my blog. It's super interesting. I love ectoin. Like it's such a great ingredient. And I think it's legitimate. And then the next article that I'm working on now is about exosomes, which
I gave you my opinion on exosomes.
I needed a moment. More hocus pocus from the beauty industry. I think there's this nonsense about plant-derived exosomes, and I had the CEO of Plated. I don't know if you know the brand Plated. Yeah, on my podcast yesterday. Yeah, yesterday. And I wanted to hear her take on the distinction between the human platelet derived exosomes that they use in these medical grade formulas, contrasted with plant derived exosomes. And well, the reality is that a plant derived exosome, may have some benefits for human skin, but it's not going to repair human skin the way it repairs plant cells.
Right.
And so that's where the beauty industry is now. Like they're, all putting these plant-derived exosomes into products. And, there was a long time where the growth factors and stem cells that were put into products did nothing but deliver an antioxidant benefit. And I don't think that plant-derived exosomes are antioxidant. I've never read that. But that ingredient to me is it's fascinating. It's probably going to go away in a year.
I actually think it might stick around if the technology changes. So I've had exosome blood infusions, that is proven. But there are few companies in the world that can actually get those exosomes with efficacy that work and that have FDA approval. So when you see all these brands with exosomes, that is just pure marketing.
It's just marketing nonsense, which the beauty industry has done since day one.
But even some of these medical grade topical exosomes that you can probably go to your doctors for, and people are getting it microneedle and stuff. I have deep dove with this with doctors and even people inside these companies, and we don't even know once you get those, and they reconstitute them in the office. you don't know how many of those are actually viable, and you don't
Right.
know how you're getting it. It's just so, it's the Wild West right now. And
Yes.
they're so
Yes.
expensive. And I did something on, I did a little talk on my Instagram just saying this is not the time because the technology is not there.
Right.
Don't
Yeah.
waste your money right now.
Yeah. I think that's sage advice. Um, and then there's the whole like conversation around skin longevity,
Yep.
and this one active. I think it's made from sunflower seed extract or something that everybody's using. Everybody's putting this ingredient in their formulas. The manufacturer of this one ingredient has
I
a
know.
yeah,
And
a clinical study that said it reverses aging by 8 years, something like. So everybody's using this 8-year claim, and Paula's Choice just came out with one, and they're all using the same active
yeah.
and relying on the same claims from the manufacturer, and so I don't know if that's going to go anywhere or not, but it's interesting.
Yeah, it's hard to, because, a lot of these actives that, we formulate with, you're using studies that they've conducted only. And so,
Mm-hmm.
and there's so you have to be very discerning when you use raw ingredients and only use reputable companies that really can back their claims.
Yeah,
I know exactly what ingredient you're talking
yeah.
about. Very interesting. Okay, exosomes. We got that. I wonder what, I don't know. The future of beauty is very interesting. There's just so many people jumping into the arena. Have you thought about starting your own line ever?
Yeah, I thought about it and dismissed it, and thought about it and dismissed it, and thought about it. And I even trademarked Skincarma skincare. I
It's a
have
great,
I have the trademark for that. But
if you
no,
did
it's
a
not.
line, what would it be? What would it be centered around?
It would be centered around antioxidants and sunscreen.
Okay.
I would not launch a brand without a sunscreen. And I completely understand that sunscreen takes a long time, blah blah blah. But I'll launch a brand. I'll start with a sunscreen and an antioxidant serum, a niacinamide serum. None of this is happening. This is fantasy. Um, and I'll launch the brand when that stuff is ready. Like, to me, like, those are the two most important components of my skincare routine, or any healthy skincare routine. And I was actually just joking about this yesterday. I don't know if it was on the podcast or not, that when I get to the pearly gates, I want St. Peter to tell me, was antioxidant really it? Was that what it was? Was it the antioxidant and the sunscreen in combination? Like, how did I get this old and die and not look my age?
So, Carmine, what would you say if I told you I've never worn sunscreen?
Oh my God, that's what I would say. What? Oh
This is
my,
probably, this is probably where you and I,
I need more water.
yeah, just for myself, I don't believe in it for myself, but I don't sit in the sun either.
Oh,
I
okay.
definitely
Yes.
stay out of the sun. I'm not like hanging out on the beach with no hat, and I sit under the umbrella. But I think a lot of sunscreen on the market gives you this false sense of protection that it's not actually.
Oh, well, that's certainly true.
I think
Yeah.
people are out there brazenly hanging out in the sun, and you're not really getting protection. And then a lot of that sunscreen that's formulated is poorly formulated, so
Yeah.
you're putting something that's actually a little bit damaging on the skin. So that's my short
Well, I
take on
also
it.
don't hang out in the sun
Yeah,
ever. That mortifies me. The thought of
yeah.
hanging out in the sun. No. I always think, how much sun damage, how much photo damage I'm getting right now? Like, how much longer is this going to go on? Yeah.
I know. I feel the same way. I
Yeah.
guess that's why we're skincare junkies. So what? So
Totally.
barrier? So what for you to not? What's the barrier to entry of starting a brand? Is it just?
I'm not a salesperson.
Nor am I.
Yeah, I'm not. I just doesn't like that burden does not interest me in the least bit
Yeah,
at
it's the
all.
worst job. It's so much fun to formulate and create, and then it's like, oh, I have to go sell this.
Yeah, you have to sell it and worry about not selling it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like, that's not in the cards for me. Not
yeah.
happening.
Okay, if you did get into beauty, where do you think you'd be today?
Oh my God.
Like if your path did not land at that cutlery department store,
I, I would be working for Henkel's.
the knife master.
No, I would be a copywriter and doing, other things, I'm sure. And I would probably be thinking I could never do beauty, you know?
Yeah,
I don't know. That's probably not true because the most mundane job I had ever had as a copywriter, I kind of skipped ahead. Back when I was in LA, there was a period where I was not in beauty when I became a copywriter, and then as a copywriter with this experience in beauty, that's when I went to go work for Kiehl's. Like these things had come together. I didn't get to Kiehl's as never having been a copywriter. And the job that I had right before I moved to New York to work for Kiehl's was at Transamerica Retirement Services, downtown LA.
Oh my
Like,
God. That sounds like the pit of despair.
totally. But you know what? It wasn't. It was a fascinating job because yes, I was writing materials for retirement, for people's retirement, for retirement programs. But I had to write everything I wrote. I had to write for three separate vehicles to three separate audiences.
Right.
And that was fascinating to me. And I loved it. I loved it. I loved the whole thing. The worst part about that job was that the creative director and I started on the same day. They created this in-house team, and he and I had the same name, but his name was pronounced Carmine. And I hate being called Carmine. So all day, every day, he's being called Carmine and I'm being called Carmen. He's probably not cringing. I'm cringing. Like, oh my God, I cannot even believe this is the bane of my existence. And so I realized during that job, I mean, I always knew that I was a really good writer. But I realized in that job and during that period that I was such a good writer that could write about anything and make a living.
Yeah.
So I would still be a writer, but maybe I wouldn't be in beauty.
Okay. So you have lived in LA and you're currently in New York. What do you think the biggest difference between beauty in each city is?
Well, I think, and you've gone back and forth and do go back and forth. I think New York is much more intense and probably more entrepreneurial and dynamic than LA. Like I
Yeah.
feel like LA is much more laid back no matter what. And that was actually something I learned that my first week on that job, at May Company at the corner of Wilshire and Fairfax.
Yeah.
It was that Elizabeth Arden counter manager. It was super busy, and she needed change from her drawer. Like she didn't have 20s, singles, whatever. I don't remember what it was. She needed change. And so she takes whatever it was, the hundreds out of her drawer and puts them in the zip bag, the banking bag, and hands it to me. And I run, like she's got a customer waiting. And I run up to the credit office, which is where you made change. And I'm in a small line, and then the woman comes to the window, and I said, I need ones, fives, whatever, I can't remember. And she was moving like she had all goddamn day. And I said, could you please hurry up?
That is such a New York attitude. I know I had when I
Oh
moved
my
out,
God.
same thing. And I remember like I was in the South and I was at a grocery store and the woman's like doing the thing, like it looked like in slow-mo. And she's like, "How are you?" I'm like, "Oh my God, like I think we just have, even though I had nowhere to be, it's just like you just have this intensity." Oh,
Yes.
I know. And when I first moved to LA, I remember going, why is everyone in the middle of the day, like in cafes, like hanging out, rollerblading? What, does anyone work?
Totally. Totally. Well, get this. She ratted me out, and she went to HR and told on me, and
Right?
said that I had yelled at her, and all of this stuff, and HR called me, and the same woman who asked me to do them a favor and to put me in cosmetics, and she asked me to calm down. She said, you're being way too assertive, you need to calm down. And I'm like, what are you talking about? So from that moment on, I realized that I was scary to Angelinos, and I needed to put a lid on my personality a bit. And so I did. I toned it down for the 15 years I was in LA. And there have been times where I've gone back in the last 20 years, I've gone back to, and hanging out with friends or whatever. And I remember going back, it was like maybe 6-7 years ago. And we're in a restaurant, we're in an Italian restaurant, like fast paced, loud, crazy Italian restaurant. And one of my friends looks at me and she goes, "People are staring."
Why?
And I said, "Staring at what?" She goes, "You're being too loud." And I was like, "Oh my God, really? Oh God, here I am again, they're trying to silence me."
So, okay, that's interesting. So we're talking about the beauty industry, but what about just beauty in general, like things that women prioritize in LA versus New York and vice versa? I mean, I sort of have my opinion, but I'd love to hear what you think.
I'm not sure I know what women in LA prioritize or anybody in LA prioritize. I know that my friends in LA don't use sunscreen, and that makes me kind of crazy. And they sit out they sit out in the sun though. Like they are in the sun. And so I don't know. I don't know what the difference is between New Yorkers and there's bad skincare habits here too.
Yeah, I think I just see such a stark difference in how women present themselves in New York versus LA. LA, obviously, the cliche is the fillers, the lips.
Mm,
Um, and you get so used to it here in LA. And when I'm in New York and I see someone with that look in New York, it looks so out of place.
right. And in
Because
LA it doesn't.
it doesn't, because there's so many people that look like that it
Right.
starts to it looks like the wallpaper. You're like, oh, this is just normal. Um, but I feel like women in New York are much more natural looking
Mm,
and more sophisticated in that way. But I am very surprised that New York is a much more of a wellness city than LA is, and the stereotype it's LA, but
totally. I found that when I did my 3-year stint as a vegan, I found it really challenging to find vegan things in LA. And I was always like, what? How
I
is this
know.
even possible?
Yeah, I'm always surprised at how many wellness places are in New York and how committed people are in New York to just, I don't know. I just find it very interesting. So I think the cliche is not true about LA being,
I
you know,
completely agree with that. As a matter of fact, I always struggle when I'm there. When I stay with my closest friend in the city, and in the morning I'll go to Ralph's, and and I'm going to call it out. This is the Ralph's at La Brea and Third,
oh, but
and
that's a sad one. That's,
it is sad because they don't have any non-dairy protein shakes. They have one brand of non-dairy protein shakes in that entire Ralph's, which is insane. Like bodegas in New York have non-dairy protein shakes.
yeah, yeah,
And this one day, the last time I was in LA, I was there for the Future 50 Beauty Matter event
right.
downtown. And that morning, before I got my Uber to go downtown, I had planned to go to Ralph's. I knew exactly where this non-dairy protein shake is, merchandised in the store. And it was out. It was out of stock. And I'm like, "Oh my God, are you kidding me right now? You have one."
Yeah. I mean, I think if you live here, you sort of know the places to go, but yeah, you shouldn't have to like go on a hunt.
Yeah,
Erewhon, and now they're opening almost on every corner. So
Erewhon.
it's, it's,
And I wasn't walking distance to Erewhon. If I were, I would have, bitten the bullet and spent $25 on a non-dairy protein shake. I would
and that's
have.
really what it would cost.
Yes.
I do
Because
love them.
I didn't have breakfast that morning. I got downtown in that hour and 15-minute Uber ride.
I
And
do love
yeah.
Erewhon for brand discovery. It's fascinating. I
Oh,
can
totally.
walk up
Yes.
and down those aisles, just touching everything like a freak. I'm like, what is this?
They're like,
Um,
"Ma'am, please stop touching things."
um, okay, okay. Next question for you, Carmine. What is your
Mm.
desert island beauty product? Don't say sunscreen.
No, sunscreen's a given,
Yes, exactly.
right? Like on Survivor. Do you watch Survivor?
Don't. But I
So
mean,
I've watched every episode of Survivor for 25 years. And matter of fact, before I got on, I watched last night's finale to season 49. And I've always wondered, how do they, like, throughout this entire season, like it's the last episode now, all of these these finalists have been on this island in Fiji in the blazing sun, and none of them are sunburned. And I asked ChatGPT, how is it that they're not sunburned? Do they get sunscreen? And there was a whole answer. And short end of it is they do. They get sunscreen. That's they're not allowed to have anything. Like they can't even have food, but they are given sunscreen. So that's a given, even on Survivor.
Sunscreen, they must be getting other things.
Well, also ChatGPT said, well, what you're watching is just the edit of the contest that they do, that they do in the sun. The rest of the time, and I know this from watching Survivor, the rest of the time they're in the shade. They're under trees, they're under a tarp, whatever. So they're not in the direct sunlight as much as it seems like they would be.
Okay, Carmen, then I'm gonna rephrase the question. What would be your Survivor?
If I could bring one product, it would be a niacinamide serum for sure.
I actually knew you were going to say that from our last conversation.
Yeah. So you're right there. It's true because I said it.
What about niacinamide do you love so much?
I love I love the broad range of things that it benefits that it has for the skin. Thickening the skin barrier, clearing out pores. I don't think there's enough conversation about pore maintenance. People think that they can just wash their face and they've cleared out their pores. Like that's not true. I think those two are the most important: thickening the skin barrier and the pore maintenance, and then of course the antioxidant benefits. And then there's the brightening and evening out skin. It does a lot of the same things that vitamin C does, minus the collagen building. So
they're great. They work really well together. They work really well together.
Yeah, and it's funny. There was a long time where there was that myth perpetuated that they don't work well together.
Oh, really? I didn't.
Yeah, totally. A lot of people thought that. Hopefully, people don't think that anymore. That's my desert island product, skincare product.
I wonder what mine would be.
Yeah, what's yours? Not one of your own products. You can bring sunscreen if you want, but I know you're going to bring one. I know you're going to bring Superade, and you're going to want your double cleanse.
I can't live without Tizian.
Yeah.
That foundation is actually addicted to it. So because feeling dirty would freak me out. So I think I need
totally. What is that? What was that movie? That movie with Brooke Shields?
Oh, that was scandalous.
She was stranded on the desert island. Yeah.
14, 15, Blue Lagoon.
Blue Lagoon.
We are Gen X. I remember that. That was one of the earliest movies I was told not to watch.
Yeah.
I was 5 when it came out.
Oh my God. I saw the movie that was that was scandalous for me when I was growing up was Saturday Night Fever. And I have not seen Saturday Night Fever since the time we saw it, unbeknownst to my parents, at the Cheshire Cinema. And they used to drop us off. They didn't even pay attention to what movie was playing, and they dropped us off to see Saturday Night Fever. And my God, all I remember from that was that my friend Susan counted how many times they said the word fuck, and it was 36 times. And I was thinking, and so the Alamo Draft House near me plays every month. They have 5 or 6 movies that they bring back, like classics or whatever. And they had an airing of that, and I got a ticket to see it, and I went to see it. It was last weekend, and I'm thinking that I'm going to count how many times they say the F word. And about 20 minutes into it, I was so fascinated. First of all, it takes place in New York, which I remembered, but I had no concept of New York really, except Times Square when I had seen it in the theater. And now I know that. I know where that is. I know where they're on the Verrazano Bridge. I'm like, oh my God, I didn't even know what the Verrazano Bridge was.
Right? So New York was such a gritty, crazy place then. My parents lived in the city early 70s, and I remember my mom saying her and my dad would get on the subway and it was scary. It was all graffitied, and it was just a scary time in New York.
But I found the movie really disturbing.
Really?
Yes. And it is absolutely a reflection of the period, the time.
Yeah.
There, it was like like rape, like unapologetic rape, like misogyny, just all kind, like homophobia, like all this stuff, and it was so disturbing to watch. And the F word. I think the F word was the least objectionable word they used. I mean, they used the C word, they used the P word, and I think probably we didn't have a concept of those words. Those weren't words that we were used to using, so it was just a word I never heard.
Right. It is interesting when I know we're getting off of the beauty topic, but when
Yeah.
you get old films or even TV shows from not that long ago, how
Hmm.
far we've come and
Yeah.
what, even if you watch Sex in the City, like reruns of Sex in the City, you're like, how are they able to do this, say this? Like it's like sometimes they're offensive and it's just
It's
that was
wild. It's so wild.
not even
And
that long ago.
yeah, and I'm like, I do not ever want to see this movie again.
Yeah.
It was that disturbing
I
to
don't think
me.
I ever saw it. So okay, not recommended.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend it. I really wouldn't.
Wait, how did we start talking about Blue Lagoon? What was
Oh,
Desert?
Desert Island. The desert island, and for some reason I always think about Blue Lagoon. Like when I think about being stranded on a desert island, I think about Blue
Just seemed
Lagoon.
really enjoyable and sexy. Although it was weird, they were like 14 and 15. It was like this weirdly sexy.
Yeah, I want to be stranded on a desert island with him. I don't even
Or
remember who he was. Like, is he anybody? Who was
you know,
he?
to
He
go
didn't
look.
go anywhere.
It's like what happened to those beautiful men like that Jake from 16 Candles? Like he just disappeared. He like stole every teenage girl's heart, and
Hmm.
then he just went off and became a cabinet maker in Maine or something.
No shade. I mean, everybody needs cabinets.
They don't actually. We
We
need,
don't.
we need Jake.
We need Jake.
We need Jake.
Jake is at State Farm now.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Anyway, this was cool. Should we wrap it up?
Yeah. I mean, I could talk to you all day, but I'm sure.
I know, but it's going to be a really long episode.
I know. Well, thank you for letting me take over. Was it a takeover or was it more like a joint production?
It was a Devkota Montalto production.
I love it. Well, I will come back anytime you want to chit chat because this is always so fun. And I would love to just hang out with you in person. It doesn't even have to be on a
Totally.
pod.
Well, next time you're in New York or next time I'm in LA, we're hanging out in person.
I would love it. I would love it. We can go get our
Yeah.
nails done.
Oh, deal. An
Okay.
absolute deal.
I
All
love
right.
it.
Thank
Carmine,
you,
thank you so much.
Dahlia.
Happy holidays.
You too.
Bye.
Ciao. All right. Thank you for listening to the Skin Karma Pod. Find more insights, real talk, and reviews of my favorite skincare products on the Skin Karma blog at skinkarma.com. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, please rate and review this episode. It helps me to reach more listeners. Ciao.